And we are live. Hello, John Swiercinsky, my friend. How
Hello.
are you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you doing today?
Very good. I love the pictures at the back or behind you. Beautiful picture. Yes.
Yep. I was just talking to Amit about it. It's a nice picture. It's fun.
It's a nice picture. Yes. So what's going on? How is life?
Life is doing really well. We are rolling out a new product from our business and
Nice.
having a lot of fun with it, getting back into education and helping people so that the real estate industry as an education field, it does a good job of giving data, but it doesn't do a great job of getting people to actually do what it teaches.
Yeah.
And that, to me, while I appreciate the information I've learned from them and it's given me the ability to do this business, it didn't actually get the majority of people to do what they were teaching. And that didn't sit well with me. And so my wife and I, along with your help, have been working through how to actually make something that if someone signs up, they can do it. And that's been really cool and interesting. And there have been all kinds of things that we've got to work through and figure out, okay, well, how can we start to make it so that we have results every time, get the consistency that you have the prediction. So much of the time, we've done over 130 deals, but sometimes they went to plan and sometimes they didn't. And so that's been, confronting how to make it go right and how to get things to work has been really cool. And that's been something that you've really pushed us to look at and see how we can take control of it, because in the industry itself, people say it can't be done. Like, they're just like, you can't predict how long it's going to take to get to the village. You can't predict how long it's going to take, the contractor. There's unexpected things. And it's like, that's just, at first glance, yes, I'll agree with you. But if you actually look into it more and actually look deeper, you can see how you can do it. Anything is possible if you're willing to look. And that's one of the biggest takeaways that I've gained from you in these 7 years roughly that I've known you, is that, if you're willing to put it there and to work, you can make anything happen. And, I've known you for a long time. You're incredibly successful. You've got businesses all over the world. I think last I checked, 24 different countries that you've got businesses in. You made your first $100 million by 31. It's like, the stats are impressive. And what is most impressive to me, to be blunt, is how much you still are a normal person that cares. You really want to get people over the hurdles that other people or they themselves have put there. And that's something that I've just been like, tip of the cap to you. Amazed.
Wow. Thank you. I consider the only value of a person is in how much he can help. Yes. So
absolutely.
So that's what leads me to that viewpoint. That's why the viewpoint is as it is. Yes. So what do you want to talk about today?
I had a few ideas, and I want to look back at, we're in the midst of this Corona craziness, and there's some things, like, I know you have an idea of how we can get through, and I just want to kind of come in and share some of those things. So, like, the first thing that I really wanted to touch on is this idea. We're getting a lot of information from the media. Like, the media is just bombarding over and over and over, more and more information, and it seems to be scaring people more than anything else. Is that, like, from your point of view, how did it happen, and is it a good thing?
Okay. Having a lot of information is good. Yes.
Yeah.
And if a person gets scared, he needs to know that he misread the information.
Okay.
I'll explain what I mean. When you go to, I was in the army, so you have this concept that when you go to a battlefield, you have a kind of an indication if you're on the right track or not, by are you afraid or not.
Okay.
If you're afraid, you're on the wrong track and you're probably going to die. If you're not afraid, it means that you actually can observe the data, evaluate, and make your own decision.
Yeah.
So a very good indication if a piece of data is true or false is, does it make you afraid? If it makes you afraid, it's not complete, it's a lie. In one degree or another, someone is trying to manipulate you.
Yeah.
And if you're smart, if you're not just useless, you will actually say, okay, thank you for telling me. Now let me find out what's true for me. Now, how do you find what's true for you? When there is a problem, solving the problem has to do with finding why it is happening. So if I don't know that the car do not start because the battery is off and I think that I don't have fuel, the car will not start up, yes? So finding the why is it happening will allow me to fix the problem. Any problem, how do you know if what you think is the problem? When you find this reason should have two characteristics. Number one, it is something you can do something about.
Okay.
So if someone tell me the battery is flat, I can do something about it. If someone tell me the fuel is not there, I can do something about it. But if someone tell me there's a virus that caused the car to not start, I cannot do something about it, yes? So it is probably an excuse, okay? And even if it's not an excuse, it's not something that helped me. For as long in history, when people say, well, the reason we have the Black Plague is because the gods are very upset. So people went around with a lot of smoke and God stays upset because you cannot control the gods. For as long as people say, God put the mountain there and we cannot do anything about it. So people went around and around and couldn't go through the mountain. But when people decide, I can find, I know how to do it, yes? I can do something about it. At that moment, they improved. For as long as people says, we cannot fly, this has been given only for the birds by God, then of course, because you cannot do something about it, it's a lie, it's an excuse. So this is the first thing. Number two, let's say you say, this is what I'm going to do. The second part is the immediate improvement. Immediate improvement. And if the solution bring immediate deterioration, the solution is faulty. So for example, let's take the coronavirus. The solution was quarantine. Did it bring an immediate improvement? No, because will be an immediate improvement? An immediate improvement will be people are more healthy, less die, but that's nothing. That's just one part of the equation. They feel better. They have the income even better than what they have right now. The economy is good. The mental health is good. The communication between countries are even better. Less wars. You need to look at the overall picture and find if the overall picture contains 10 areas and 6 are better and 4 are worse, it's a good solution. But if 6 are worse and 4 are better, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. There's a lie. And you, as a person, need to realize that's a lie. I'm not buying this nonsense. I'm starting to look. Now, if you will take that lie, if you will use a lie, if you will use a lie as a solution, what will happen? The problem will grow. So we're looking at the overall situation in the world, and we see that the problem grow. And how they sell you the lie, because they say, look, but you have X amount of people, and we could have more. I'm not looking only on how many people die. People die every day. It's part of life.
Yeah.
I'm not looking on how many people die, and I'm not getting into if it's counting the dead correctly. I'm not talking about all of these theories or facts. I'm saying to look only at how many people die is nonsense, because based on that viewpoint, I will never create cars. I will never create airplanes. I will never do extreme sport. I will never live. I would never walk into a hospital, because your chances of dying by just stepping into a hospital is so much bigger than if you're not even going into the hospital ever. So it's a lie. What's the lie? The lie is by what is the right thing to do. The right thing to do would be the solution that will bring the least amount of destruction and the most amount of construction. So, and you take it as a whole, not only on one thing, because if you take it on one thing, a drug dealer can say, look, I sell drugs, I make a lot of money. It's a good solution. It's a very good solution. Yeah. Yes. It's not a good solution, because yes, it makes a lot of money for you, but it kills so many people, it destroys so many families, it destroys you spiritually. Yeah. If you look at that from this whole, I'm healthy and that is okay, I'm sorry to say, it's the actual definition of stupidity. What is stupidity? Stupidity is a failure to correctly evaluate a situation. And correctly evaluate a situation, it means to take all the factors in the situation, not only what some tyrant or government make you look at.
Yeah.
And if you cannot do that, you're already dead.
Yeah, it's not just one-dimensional.
It's not.
It's got to encompass so much more.
Yeah, and now the indication that something like that happening, that someone sell you something, is how big is the marketing campaign? How much they're talking about it? Because when there is a piece of truth, there is an airplane that's flying. You don't see people all over in the internet and all over. People say an airplane is flying, an airplane is flying, an airplane is flying.
Oh my God!
Because it's observable. You can see it. The airplane is flying. You saw it. Wonderful. End of story. They don't talk about it for 77 years. Yes, just the airplane is flying. Thank you very much. When someone dies, and you said there was a terrorist attack. And 3,500 people died in 9/11, and they spoke about it for 2, 3 days, 4 days, 1 day, a week, and it's really bad. But after that, there is an end cycle. You're going into construction, you're going into something new, but you don't talk for 4 months only on Corona and make everyone afraid of. They can maybe imagine that for 4 months after 9/11, everyone will be afraid from airplanes flying into buildings. So no airplanes will fly at all for 4 months.
Yeah.
And all countries, not only the US, all countries will shut down their airspace and will lock the countries because they're afraid that an airplane will fly into a building. It would be insane. It's not the right decision.
Yeah.
It's not the right solution. So the failure of people has to do with an inability to understand what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. Right meaning looking at the overall factors in a situation and separate them between contributing and destroying, and counting how much is the contributing and how much is the destruction. There is not one solution that I know on this planet that do not contain destruction, that do not contain pain.
At least some.
Yeah, there will be some. There will be just like what's good to the hunter It's not so good for the hunted, yes?
Yeah.
But this is this universe, and you just need to minimize the distraction from your viewpoint.
Yeah.
But one thing you don't want to do is to be afraid, because fear is what prevents you from evaluating. You want to make you want to know who is stupid? Look who is afraid. Any person that is afraid at that moment is stupid, and I can prove it 100%, because fear is a state of imperception. You do not perceive. You cannot be afraid and be logical. Why? Because you cannot be afraid. And look, when you're afraid, you're running away from something. You're closing your eyes.
Yeah.
That's the mechanism of fear. So when you see someone is afraid, you know he acts stupidly at that moment. When you see someone that makes you afraid, you know he's not your friend. A leader do not make you afraid. A real leader, give you solutions, says, look, we're going to do that and we're going to overcome that. There is certain barriers, but we can find a way around them, above them, below them. If I would be in the army and my commander will say, well, you know, these other guys, they have guns, and we're going to die, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can only hide and maybe play dead.
Yeah.
What kind of a commander is that? I'll shoot him myself, you know, because the damage is so bad. Yeah. Now, if all leaders doing that, you need to know that regardless of why, I don't care why is it happening, because I don't care if there is a cabal, or if there is 5G or 7G or 20G or whatever. It's not the issue. I know that for me, I know the line, I know I need to start looking, and I need to get cured from the urge to give excuses instead of solution. And the disease that I need to be cured from is, as you know, is excuse sclerosis. When people cannot actually observe, they're very sick with excuse sclerosis. They really thrive on excuses. Yeah. They just cannot observe. How do you know that you observe correctly? You bring the problem closer to its expected result, to a pro-survival result, and not put thing at a worse condition. Overall thing.
Yeah, that actually was part of what I wanted to follow up to. It was, there's so much, like, one of the things you teach is that communication is very important. The more that you're able to communicate with something, the better off you are. But a part of that communication is being able to see what is true and being able to analyze for yourself what's going on. And so there's so much, I hate to say it, but disinformation that's out there. Like, what's your best bit of advice for people to be able to see, is this actually true or not, in what they read, in what they watch on YouTube or Facebook or something like that?
If it makes you afraid, it's a lie. That's number one. If it makes you afraid, it's a lie. There's no question about it.
Okay.
Because, look, I don't want to sound too much of an extremist, but the fact is that the worst thing that can happen is what? You can die. Okay, so the question is now, what more important? Your body or your freedom? You need to make the decision. If your body is more important than your freedom, then you will agree with Hitler, because if not, he will kill you. If your body is more important than your freedom, you will agree with Stalin. If your body is more important than your freedom, then you should go and find a box that taught that everything is controlled. Get into that box, lock it, get oxygen, feeding, everything, and don't move from that box for the rest of your life, because you will live much longer as long as you don't put in that box someone that you don't like.
I'm with you. there's so much information out there that is pushing you to be afraid, to be controlled. Like that, to me, that's when you see that people are trying to make you afraid, it's because they don't want you to look at what really is going on.
Of course.
And if you actually look, then now you might change your actions instead of just blindly going. Like there's the popular term of sheeple, that, you know, people that are just like sheep that follow behind the one. And I have experience in raising animals, and I know it's true. They just, if you get one to go, the rest will follow. And people are so certain that that's the right thing to do, that because they don't look, they don't actually observe. And
I'll tell you a story that you've been part of, and it gives a good viewpoint on what fear is all about. Okay, so I had a group of my students in South Africa. You've been there as well, and as part of the training, I set it up that every single person had to do bungee jumping from the highest bridge in the world. I think it's the highest place in the world to bungee jump. And I was nice to them. I was willing to let them be connected to a cable. That's the first time. Okay, so jokes aside, so we had this bungee jumping, and we've been preparing. I was preparing them mentally. I explained to them all kinds of things during the seminar. And we started, and we were in Cape Town, and we went to a place that's called Knysna in South Africa. And we are on the bus, I don't remember, like 30 people or something like that. 30 people.
35, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, 35, maybe more. Yeah, we had some guests. So we're on the bus, and the closer we got to Knysna, the more the bus became tense. You could see. People that were dark color became white. White people become red. They have difficulty breathing. And
the bus breaks down.
They were really afraid. Really afraid. And you can see that some people were more afraid, some people were less afraid. And they were afraid. And then you get to the place, and we walk on that bridge that have like a mesh, so you can see like 300 meters down. And you walk and you see people are really afraid. They're really afraid. But you still hope that something will happen and you somehow will be able to skip this whole nightmare. And they're afraid. They can hardly move. They're sweating. They're changing colors. You talk to them, they don't actually answer properly. So they're afraid. And then we're getting to the point where you need to jump. And they put your legs, they tie your legs together, they connect the cable, and they push you to the edge, and you are afraid. You are so afraid. You cannot breathe. Your mouth is dry, your stomach goes upside down, you don't see, and all of a sudden they say jump, and they give you a little bit of a push, and you jump. And you jump. And you jump, and no one knows what's happened with you. You jump, and you're going down, and they pick up the cable, and no one knows what's happened with you. You were terrified just before the jump. You were like terrified.
Yeah.
They bring you up, and 1 to 1, every single person after the jump said it was the best thing that ever happened to him. Now, why do I tell you that? While you were on the bus, you were secure. While you're on the bridge, you are quite secure. It's really safe. While you're standing connected, you didn't have to jump. You were secure, but you were afraid. When you fell down, while you're falling down, where it was the highest level of risk, where you really were supposed to be afraid, it was amazing for you. Why? Because the only thing that people are afraid of is fear. The only thing that people are afraid of is fear. and anything that you're afraid of probably do not exist. And if I will give you a cent for every time you've been afraid that nothing happened, you will become a billionaire. And the only reason why you are not a billionaire is because you're stuck on being afraid instead of starting to open your eyes. The most amount of money I've ever done was when people was afraid and I was willing to open my eyes. The most success, the most fun I ever had is when people were afraid and I was willing to jump.
Yeah.
And the question to the people that with us, are you willing to open your eyes and say the thing that you think that is impossible, but the thing that will actually save you, your family? Are you willing to say that your freedom, your self-determinism, you, much more important than your body? Before you can say that, you're not alive. Before you can say that, you are not alive. Before you can honestly say that your freedom, your self-determinism, your viewpoint, your opinion, your abilities to create something despite all invitations to be afraid, when you can make those things more important than your body, that's the time where you will start to live, and you will see that the magic that will happen is nothing can ever touch you.
Yeah. It's
fascinating.
It really is. Like as you said, I was with you on that trip. I was one of the people on the bus, literally like less than probably a kilometer away from the actual place we were jumping. The bus broke down. Like it literally broke down and we couldn't get to the place. People were so nervous. Now, some people watching may say that's a coincidence.
Yeah, sure.
It is complete. But we got there and we overcame it. And it really, as you said, 1-to-1, every single person, when they got up from jumping, we have pictures. Every one of them had this just euphoric look on their face because they understood that they did it. Something that I was willing, but I didn't know that I would do it. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those things. Yeah, if Meir says we'll jump off of a bridge, okay, sure. Why not? But there were a lot of people that were like, no, I'm not going to do that. And every one of them did it. Every student in the class did it. That was so amazing to me. And you saw picture after picture, this huge, bright smile of I've lived.
Yeah.
In that moment, I was there. And you're right. As soon as you jump, there's no fear anymore. The fear's gone.
Yeah. There's no fear. Yeah, there's no fear actually because what you're afraid of do not exist. This is so unbelievably accurate. What you're afraid of, probably in most cases, I don't want to be extremer and say it's never exists, but what you're afraid of do not exist. And it's definitely the best indication that you're insane. If you're afraid, you're cuckoo temporarily.
Yeah.
Cuckoo. For the period that you're afraid, if you're afraid all your life, you're cuckoo all your life.
Yeah.
You never see an afraid person that take a chance. You never see, if we will be afraid, we will never fly. If we'll be afraid, we will never do any experiments. If we'll be afraid, we will never go against what is accepted.
Yeah.
The only way you can help yourself is decide that your freedom is more important than your body. If you cannot decide that, you will not have actual no freedom and no body.
Okay, so this actually brings up a question. How you talk about your freedom and you talk about your body.
Mm-hmm.
You're using descriptions here that implied that I'm not my body, or that you're not your body, or that I'm not my freedom in and of itself. Who am I then?
Okay, good. So let's explain that. Okay. So when you say my body, the body belongs to someone else. So it's instinctively you have that. When you have a child and you love your child, you don't love his body. How do I know? Because when he cut his hair, you still love him. Yes. When he cut his nail, you still love him. If he, God forbid, lost a hand, you still love him. If he die and the body gets totally disintegrated, you still love him.
Yes.
So what you love is not the body.
True.
So the question is, what's this thing that called the spirit? What is it? How can we prove it? And so in order to understand that, you need to understand something that at first glance will be not easy for you, because we're going to explain a spiritual principle by physical means, okay? By physical words. So the first thing you need to understand that the physical universe is composed of two. There is no number lower than two in the physical universe. Everything is composed of two. For every plus, there is minus. For every force, there is counterforce. In order to have good, you have to have bad. In order to have small, you need big. Beautiful, ugly. Everything has this two sides, plus and minus, yin and yang. Everything is composed of two. If it's true for you, if you can actually see that everything is composed of two, so when I take this thing and I want to look at the beginning of that thing, or a second after the beginning of that thing, you can see that if I'll break it down to parts and parts and parts and parts and parts, at the beginning I will get to an atom, two parts, plus and minus, electron and proton. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
So if I take that on this, if I take that on this universe, you'll see that this universe, by this same logic, started by two particles. Okay? Now, if I say that this is from here something started, it means that the word started mean the moment before it was here. When I said the iPhone started in 2007, it was that before that moment there was no iPhone. Yes? Okay? This is the moment that I started as a body. You can say that before that I was not here. Yes? Okay. Yeah. So you can say that what created the two do not compose of two, because started mean before it was here. So if I have here the first two particles are two, what created them was not two, because it started. It's the first two particles. Okay?
There had to be something before, or there had to be something where there was not two.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's not two. I'm not saying what it is, but it's not composed of two. Okay?
Yes.
So we can say that the creator of the physical universe is this universe that composed of two. Okay? Or we can say that the physical universe is composed of something. Something is anything that composed of two. The creator of the physical universe must be a nothing. And nothing is only mean something that do not compose of two. So the thing that on the something is the creator, the nothing. So the creator on the something. So you can say that if you have a body, if you say it's my body, you, the creator, is not composed of the body, you compose of a nothingness. So it's difficult to comprehend it at the beginning. You will see that every fact used to be a nothing. And that nothing we call an idea.
Okay.
Nothing can be called something that do not have continuation, something that is not composed of two.
Okay.
So every fact in this universe, your body was nothing before. Before, like at the beginning. Yes?
Yeah.
And when you understand that, you understand since this thing composed of this nothingness do not survive, and this somethingness survive, when the body die, you, the creator, do not die, because the creator cannot die.
Yeah.
So the driver of the car has nothing to do with the car. So if the car died, if the car broke down, you don't break down.
Yeah.
Because you are separate. You can die from different causes, but not because of the car, not together with the car, because you are not part of the car. Okay? Now, if you drive a lot of cars, and every time you drive a car, the car is crashing and die, and you take another car, and the car crashing and die, and you take another car, and the car crashing and die. After a while, you might start to consider that you are the car, and when the car die, you may consider that you die. And that's what happened to people. They start to think that they are their body. But instinctively, they say, my body. And when you're afraid, fear is just a method of not being able to look. What does it mean when you can observe? Observation is the ability to separate physical from spiritual. The ability to separate the cause and the effect. When you cannot separate them, it becomes one. You think that you are the car, and at that moment you cannot do anything about it because you don't have a creator, you don't have a driver. And of course, anything can happen when you don't have a driver. So life is dangerous without drivers. Yeah. And that's actually what happens. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it does. It's a different concept that not everybody has heard of or thought about, but it really does when you start to actually look and see what's going on. It explains some stuff, because just inherently we want to say it's my body.
Yeah, I need to stop you. I need to stop you for a second, because I see someone that just joined, David Cohen. David Cohen, or David Cohen, or Kakeron, used to be my teacher, and it's really interesting. No, it's David Corbin. Sorry, not David Cohen. Oh, okay. Good. Oh, but it's good. I still like David Corbin too, so no problem. Okay.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Hi, David. Yes. Source of energy never die. Yes. The source
Absolutely.
of the energy is not the energy. Now you can see that you can take that even further. You will see that when you ask people, what do you trust, the source or the data? Most people, by actual survey, 65 to 69% of people will say that the source is more important. But actually, what's important is the data. Why the data? Why the data? Because when you look at the source, and not at the data, you actually saying that you as the source are not important.
Yeah.
You understand? When you look at any source other than you said that it's not important. So you as a source need to look at the data and decide what you want to create.
Yes.
You as the source need to look at the data and decide what you want to create. And that's why when people say that the source is important, it's like saying the messenger is more important than the message. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So who said something mean nothing. Who said something mean nothing. Yeah. If it was on God Google, so it was on God Google. So the source of the data is not important. The only thing that's important is the data, and above the data, the real thing that's important is what you decide you want to create. Very fun.
It is, and I like that. That actually ties back into what we were talking about to begin with the media and all the things that they're saying. We're so trained as a society to it's from an authority. We have to believe it. We have to take this information and not evaluate it for ourselves. And like that's one of the things that it's not super scary, but it's one of the things that is a concern. Like you look at, see, we as a people need to be able to look at things for ourselves and decide, is this good or is this bad?
And how you do that is important, because when someone said to you, this virus can kill so many people. Okay, good. Let's have a look. How did we handle any virus in the past? Did we handle any virus by quarantine? No. We quarantined people that came somewhere, blah, blah, blah. But we didn't actually handle any virus by quarantine. So what's happened with this virus that all of a sudden the crowd, the immune system, we decided to push it apart? Why? It doesn't make sense. There need to be a very, very good reason why it's so. Now, even if you don't know what it is, what's right, what's wrong, when you see one piece of data that say, look, throughout history, for billions of years, men manage to survive without quarantine. And now some politician, not even a doctor, not that the doctor knows or don't, but some politician decide that we need to quarantine people based on some model that is nonsense. You need to know immediately one thing for sure: you should not be worried. It's 100% wrong. Another thing you can see that throughout history, when the leaders who are afraid report something, they always make it worse. You had 9/11. If you go back and you look at the first reports, they said there will be 20,000 people that will die. How many people die?
Less than 4.
Yeah, 3,500 people. Each person is a big pain. It's unbearable pain for the family and the friends, and it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But it's not what they said. In Israel, they said that there will be at least 10,000 people that will die within the first 2 months, blah, 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 blah. Few hundred people died. Now, what they say is like that. Well, if we didn't do the actions, we would have 10,000. Not a problem. Let's look at Taiwan. How many people die in Taiwan? 6. Why? Because they're not part of the World Health Organization, or I don't know why. Never mind why. My opinion is not a problem. There is something that do not add up.
Yeah.
When something do not add up, there is a lie, and you need to sharpen your senses and start to look and know for sure that what they say is not true. So anything that you pick up has better chances to be true. If someone telling me, look, it's day right now, and I know it's and I don't know if it's night or day right now, but I don't know if it's night or afternoon, but I know for sure that it's not day. If I'll say afternoon, and if I'll say evening, or if I'll say night, my chances of hitting true answer is bigger, just by not agreeing, because I know it's a lie. I know for sure it's a lie. It's not day right now. So they're telling you that it's dangerous. Pick up any answer, just like that. I think blah. Any answer will be better than the answer they gave you. The moment that you know that the guy lied to you.
Yeah.
Now it happens all over. Like people will go into a relationship, and the wife caught their husband red-handed, and he says, "Well, I've changed," and she said, "Okay, fine, I'll go with you. I've changed." But his behavior did not change. Like you see, like the way that he behaved to her, that it did not change. He doesn't. He still find wrong things with her. He still criticize her. He still disappear at night. But he said that he changed. Yes. So she is not suspecting him anymore, and she's not checking. She's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
She's stupid.
She's blind.
Why? Because stupidity is an inability to separate truth from falsity.
Yeah.
You need to be able to separate, oh, this is false. I know it's false. So anything I'll pick up on the other hand, it's right. He may be cheating me, he may be this, and I will decide, he's cheating me. I will be more correct than saying he's an angel. Because he's probably not. Does it make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
so
really,
you've done like I touch back on the Corona stuff. You've done a lot of webinars and getting people to look for themselves. And I'm curious, what's next? What are you looking at, kind of on a go forward? I know you've got some classes that are going on about Corona, but what else is going on that you're doing to kind of get people to look and see past the common everyday thing?
Yeah. So you can help people in generally in one of two areas. You can help them on the physical side, teach them how to do business, teach them how to improve the immune system, teach them how to fix the physical side. And I'm doing that. There's a whole the survival pack, and I'm doing all kind of things that it helps. Handle that. And it's good. It's good as a first aid.
Yes.
It's really important as a first aid. But the actual handling, you need to handle the spirit. You need to handle the spirit. And the way to handle the spirit is different ways to handle the spirit. But one of the ways to handle the spirit is through yoga.
Really?
And and I'll explain why. About 2,560 years ago, there was the last yogi was on earth. He died 2,560 years ago. He knew, he didn't invent, but he knew all kind of axioms or agreements about the physical universe and about the spiritual universe. That those axioms were written into something that called the Yoga Sutras that through the years have been perverted, changed, destroyed, that today they are nothing even close to that. And the knowledge that the knowledge of yoga was delivered from one person to another, one person to another, and one person to another. And at one point it got written. And when it got written, it was written in certain way. And it was since then been deteriorated. And today when you go and you use it, it's actually do not bring the expected result.
Okay.
Because this knowledge is really powerful, because it's what it's supposed to do. If you actually make it your own, it will release you from the jail that called planet Earth.
Okay.
It will actually release you. And when I say release you, it doesn't mean that you will go out, because a nothingness cannot go out of a somethingness. Okay? It means that you will be able to start creating it rather than be the effect of its past creation. You get that, yes?
Yes, I follow you.
And I'm going to, it's not really important right now how you can look at the previous Facebook Live that I've done with Pedro, where I explain how. But I'm going to actually, I figured out what those Yoga Sutras are, and I'm going to show you how you can figure out, not learn from me, not that I will give you this is the Yoga Sutras, but through a specific process. Everyone on this series of webinars that I'm going to do will figure out for themselves what are those Yoga Sutras. And when you make it yourself, you can actually use it, and never before.
Yeah.
And the first webinar that I'm doing is going to be a free webinar when I give you an introduction to the subject. It's going to be on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
9 p.m. South Africa time, European time. It's somewhere around 9 p.m. as well. If you want to register, or you should register by going to www.yoga.meirezra.com. You can find the link on the screen, or you can go to www.meirezra.com/yoga. In both cases, you will find how to register there. And I really suggest you will join.
I just shared it to my timeline as well on Facebook, so it's up there for people. If they're seeing this through me, I've got a link on my Facebook page that they can click on to have access.
Excellent, perfect. And for sure, you get to this webinar, you will have a different viewpoint on life.
Yeah.
Total different viewpoint on life. Okay.
Yeah, I'm there. I'll be there for sure on Sunday. I'm already registered. Looking forward to it.
Okay. So thank you for everyone that joined. Karen, Anastasia, Michal, I see, Swapna, Anne, David, yes, and Shaked Percy, the amazing, talented Shaked Percy. So nice to see you here. And thank you for watching. John, thank you. Thank you for your time. And Amit and Swapna, thank you for setting it all up. And Shamaya for managing all of us behind the scene. Thank you very, very much. And I will see you tomorrow at the same time. I think it is 10 p.m. my time. So it is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. South Africa time, I will have another Facebook Live with 2 different people, and it will be fun. And if you have questions, by the way, if you want me to answer specific questions, go to either Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Meir Ezra Official, send me a private message, and ask me any question you want, and I will answer it in the next Facebook Live. Or go to Facebook, Meir Ezra, and just send me a private message, and I will actually give you the answers. They're always different, they're always surprising, but they are powerful. Why they're powerful? Because they let you know. Okay.
Thank you, Meir. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining, and bye-bye.